Welcome to Extraordinary Educator Television with your hosts, Mark and Danielle.
Welcome to EETV. I'm Danielle, and next to me is my co-host, Mark.
Hello there.
So, Mark, today we're going to talk about teacher mental wellness on our Edu Update.
Good.
But I wanted to say that when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I tend to go to humor. So I'd love to know from you, what are some things you find funny?
Yeah, that's my defense mechanism too. When I'm feeling overwhelmed, it's humor. I find Will Ferrell always funny, and my family doesn't necessarily find him as amusing as I do. But his deadpan looks, anything that he's in. I recently watched Eastbound and Down, which is not appropriate for children, by the way. He just kills me every time. He brings me so much joy. What about you? Who's your go-to?
So I'm a big fan of Tina Fey. I'm a big fan of a lot of stuff what Tina Fey does. I feel like her humor is very similar to my humor. And just recently, I've watched Girls 5 Eva with Sarah Bareilles. It's hilarious, especially if you are watching this and you are a woman in your 40s. I highly recommend Girls 5 Eva. I love when people use music and witty humor together, which is probably why I loved being in an improv comedy troupe.
I bet.
Fun facts?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about more mental health strategies on today's Edu Update. Hi, this is Danielle, and welcome to Edu Update. Teachers are not okay, even though we want them to be. That was a headline in a recent article written about teacher mental well-being. If you are an educator and you're watching this, I'm sure you have felt the pull, the overwhelm. It feels like a wet blanket of teacher burnout. Unfortunately, this fall is no different. Teachers are feeling higher levels of stress and anxiety because of the uncertainty of returning to school during another variant of COVID-19. What teachers need, according to the article and according to research from many surveys given, is time. So if you are a leader watching this Edu Update, teachers need time. There are lots of teacher well-being, effective strategies that do work, but you cannot breathe your way out of stress if your day is jam-packed and you have no time for you, no time for planning, and no time to do the essential things that you're needed to do. In the article, they also talked about how teachers are being asked to do more than ever before. That is still true. Teachers not only are dealing with learning, potential unfinished learning, trying to make sure their students are safe, teachers are also trying to figure out how to meet all of the students' needs in one class, no matter where students are coming from, and also create environments where students want to be. So that is a lot of planning in normal times, but then we add the extra layer of, COVID-19 uncertainty, stress, all the things that are happening right now. So what I will say, based on this and other research and surveys, teachers need time. The biggest gift you can do for your teachers, if you are a leader watching this, is to give them planning time, breaks, days off, even coffee helps. If you are a teacher watching this, take time for you. Make sure you continue to take care of yourself, sleep, wellness breaks. It will get better if you can take care of yourself. And that is Edu Update.
Let's spend 90 seconds with Megan Robinson. Hello, Megan.
Hi, Mark.
Perhaps you've heard Megan Robinson on different podcasts or maybe seen her deliver a keynote address in person, especially on the West Coast, on the subject of identifying inherited practices of racial bias in our classrooms. Before we started rolling, you were telling me that a lot of Black families do not want to send their kids to school.
As much as I read about this topic, even I was surprised to see on a recent national survey that 59% of Black families don't want to send their children back to school, citing a number of racially driven inequities like the achievement gap and discipline disparities. Parents also noted that racism in schools is a major concern as well.
Yeah. Well, what steps can schools take to make students of color feel safer?
I suggest you first start by conducting student surveys. You'll be surprised, or you may not be surprised, to see what kind of feedback you get from students. California Healthy Kids Survey showed that Black and Hispanic students do not feel safe in schools. You may end up hearing the same. So after you start with those student surveys, then I suggest simply identifying the school and classroom rules and expectations that students of color are being disciplined for and replace them.
Okay, well then how do we make learning more inclusive?
Well, we also need to identify and replace practices that aren't really intended to be inclusive at all. For example, I do, we do, you do is centered around one person, one voice, one strategy, not very inclusive. And it's actually hard to make something that's not intended to be inclusive to be much so. So instead, replace it with something like a problem solving followed by instruction approach, where student created strategies are the driving force of the learning process.
Okay, okay. And so where's a good place to start resource-wide for folks that want to try to reverse this trend?
You could start with an equity audit. There are a couple of really good ones out there. I suggest Mid-Atlantic Equity Consortium's equity audit. They have a number of processes you can go through, lots of options on topics like school policy, climate, staff, placement tests, curriculum, and much more.
Well, I would love to hear you talk more on this subject. So let me know when you are speaking out west and maybe I'll pop by to see you.
You will have a seat with your name on it, Mark.
I like that. And for all of you watching, please check out the video description in the link to the resource that was mentioned during this interview. Thanks again, Megan. Danielle, we covered a lot of heavy stuff on this webisode of EETV. So let's lighten it up by getting the audience to participate, right? So how can we do that?
We would love to hear from you. Comment on this video, send us an email.
Be a guest on our show. We'd love to interview you.
Yes, we'd love to interview you. So please, please, please let us know what topics you're interested in and we will have you on the show.
That's right. But until then, be you.
Be true.
Be extraordinary. Thanks for watching.
Bye.